Welcome everyone. This is the fourth in our Sizzling Summer Series. I'm Karen from Sew and Save. I'm here at the Ponderosa in my sewing studio, and today Marley and I are going to be making these cute little Nantucket summer pouches. So hopefully you've gotten your kit and you're ready to go and ready to sew along. Yes, ready to sew along with both of us today because Marley needs a lot of attention, so I don't know how this is going to go. All right, so in your kits, you will find a little, isn't this cute, the little mini charm pack. There's 42 little squares in here. You will also find, of course, the instructions, very important, a zipper, your little fabulous little Nantucket charm, so cute, and a little D-ring, some white fabric, and some lining fabric. So this is going to be your outside fabric. This is going to be your lining fabric. So we're going to get all of these cut to size. I'm going to show you how to decide what you're going to do with these outside bags in about a second. The first thing that you need to do is decide which bag you're going to make. So you could actually make 3 different versions of this bag. The first version, if you look on the bottom of page 1, is done by taking pretty much all of your squares, laying them out with 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 5 by 8 in a row, and that will use up 40 of your 42 squares, and that would make the whole outside of the bag little squares. Most of the ladies did not choose to do this. What we wanted to do is to be able to end up with 2 bags. So we're going to line up our little charm squares in a different way. So you want to go to page 2. The version I'm going to make today is the navy blue and white version. And then if you make this version, you will have enough squares to make the light blue version. However, you're going to have to either go in your stash or stop at the store and pick up some more Nantucket to make your second bag, because you will not have enough white or enough lining to make the second bag. Plus you'll need another zipper, and we also have more of these little charms too that you can pick up. So you can make a second bag with your charms. You just need a few more pieces. So let me show you how you're going to do the navy blue version. You'll do the light blue version in the same way, except the sizes of the white fabric on either side will be different, and you will be making 1, 2, 3 rows by 8 rows of squares. And on this one, Marley, yes, we're going to have 2 rows by 8 of the navy blue squares. And then you can see the white on this side is much wider and the white on this side is narrower. So the instructions tell you how to cut the white fabric for each of these 2 other versions. Alrighty? So I have my lining cut. That's all ready to go. I have these 2 little pieces here. Those are going to be my little tabs on either side of my zipper. And then I have my right side and my left side of my bag for my navy blue version. So now I'm going to set up my little squares. So you can divide these up and mix them up any way you want. But to make the navy blue version, you'll need 2 rows of 8 squares. So I'm going to set those up and I will show you what they look like on the big board. All right, now I have my little blocks all set out to make my 2 bags. Today I'm only going to make this one, but I thought I would lay them out so that you could see how you should be laying out your blocks to sew your bags together. So when I did this, I came and I sewed this whole long row here, and then I sewed this whole great big long row. I pressed the seams going one direction on the first row and the opposite direction on the second row. And then you can do the same thing on your next bag section. So let's get to work on that, and then we're going to start adding the sides. I have both of my little strips sewn, and when you look at them, you can see that on this one, I press the seams going down, and on this one, I press the seams going up. Now when I match these up together to sew them, their little seams will nest perfectly. I pressed them and gave them a little shot of best press so my seams are nice and flat. So let's sew that together. You definitely can use pins if you like. I don't. I just kind of get to my seam, I line up my 2 seams, and then I stitch. I'll stop and then make sure my next 2 seams are lined up and nested together and keep going all the way down. All stitched. Now I'm going to press my seam. You can either press this open, you can press it to one side, whatever you'd like to do. I think I'm going to press this one open as I go along. I have my seam all pressed open, and by pressing it open, it made these little intersections super duper flat. So as I quilt it, it's going to look great. Now I'm going to add my 2 side pieces. I have the shorter side that's going to go on one side, and the wider side will go on the other. It might be just a little bit longer. Hopefully it'll be longer and not shorter for you. It should be a little bit longer, and you can trim that off to match your little charm square section. So I've added my 2 side bags on, and I'm going to press these seams toward the white. So I've moved things around a little bit better so that you can get a better view of the ironing table, because I'm going to show you how to fuse your batting to your lining and to the front of your bag so that you can quilt it. That's going to be your next step. So I have my front of my bag all sewn together and pressed. Then I'm going to take my batting, which I've cut to the same size as my lining. This is a great way to use up some scrap lining or batting. And then we're going to fuse our lining to our batting. And to do that, we're going to use bone ash. And sometimes it says to use a spray. I don't like to use the spray. It gets all over and it gets in the air, and especially if you're doing something in a class, a lot of people are sensitive to sprays. So I like to save the environment a little bit and use bone ash. It's the same type of thing. It's going to adhere your batting to your fabric. It's very fine. It's like a little fine salt. And I start in the center, and then I kind of go all the way around my batting. And I start with my batting, not my fabric. And when I sprinkle this, I don't sprinkle it all the way to, because when you sprinkle all the way to the edge, you end up getting it on your ironing table, and you really don't want to do that. Really, all we're doing is getting some on here so that we can fuse it down, the lining onto the batting. Hello, Marley. And fuse it down so that we can, it'll stay in place as we quilt it. So I'm going to lay my fabric over the top of my batting. If you put your fabric wrong side up and put the bone ash on the fabric and then put your batting down, a lot of times your batting doesn't like to have an iron straight on it. So if it has some polyester in it, you might melt it. And plus it's too hard for the heat and the steam to get all the way through your batting down to your fabric to have it stick and adhere. So it's a lot easier for the heat and the steam to go through your fabric and kind of melt that bone ash and have it stick to your batting. So once I get it sprinkled on, I have my fabric placed where I want it. I start in the center of my project, and I don't go back and forth and run all around. I kind of just hold it down here for a second. Use steam, don't use steam. It works either way. And I just kind of slowly move it around. And then I start moving towards the outside. And it doesn't take much to get it to stick. And you don't have to have a lot of bone ash on there. Remember, you're not fusing this on, the bone ash in the end is not what's going to hold these 2 pieces of fabric together. What's going to hold it together is your quilting. So you just want to keep that fabric in place until you're done quilting. Ta-da! Now I'm going to flip it over. Put some more bone ash on the front, on my batting again, not getting it all the way to that edge. Get some all the way around. Now I'm going to lay my fabric right down on top of it. And I got some kind of little brown mark on there, but we're going to get that out later. All right. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this. Start in the front, in the center, and work my way out. It doesn't take much pressing to make this stick. There you go. That's about all you need to do. And it's stuck. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to stitch in the ditch here, 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 and here. And then I kind of took my wider presser foot and I moved my needle as far over to one side as I could, and then just made like little channels coming down here, here, and here. You could quilt this any way you want. Some of the ladies just came kind of straight across and went that way, did some X's. You know, this is a chance for you to be creative. It's small, so it doesn't take a lot of time to quilt, and it's a good way to practice quilting as you're going along. So remember that you're going to see your stitches on the back. So I have white in my bobbin. I'm going to live with that, and it's going to be okay because it's going to be on my lining. Otherwise, you can change your bobbin color to match your lining. So I have everything sewn together and I have quilted it, and as you could see, I gave it all a nice press. I gave it a little shot of best press on the front just to help relax those stitches, and I gave it a nice steamy press, and everything is nice and flat so that now I can trim it all down to size. So we're going to grab this over here and off we go. So I just basically want to square this up. I square up one side. Now that I have one nice straight line, what I did is I lined up one of my lines on my ruler with my seam line and kind of gave it a nice right angle. Now I'm going to use that same line again and line up with my seam line and the edge that I just cut. And give that a cut. I'm going to turn my ruler around because I think it's going to work better. Yep, it'll work much better this direction. Sometimes your ruler works better in one direction than another, just to see what you're cutting. And I'm kind of cutting on my board on top of an ironing mat, but it's going to work. I'm a little curved when I get down here, but we'll be okay. See, it's not going to do it. But that's all right. I'm going to cut that edge off when I get up there anyways. So now I'm going to straighten out my short end over here, get that nice and straight and square. All righty. And one more side. I think I'll go this way so I don't get on that curve again. Don't like that little curve. Usually I would not be doing this way, but then I can slide this back the way when we're done. All right. Slide this ruler over, slide this guy back. All right, so now I have everything all squared up, nice and straight. Now we're going to cut little squares out of each corner of our bag so that we can box our corners on the top and on the bottom. To do that, I'm going to use a small ruler and I'm going to measure down from the top and over from the side 1 1/4 inches. So you can see that I just drew a little square. So you can see how that's going to look. So it's down 1 1/4 inches from the top and 1 1/4 inches over from the side. I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. Now I'm going to use my scissors and cut right on those lines and cut those little squares out. You don't need those anymore. Gone. Just like that. We're going to set this aside, and now we're going to make the little tabbies that hold your D-ring. Some of the girls were going to get some fabric and make a strap. So you could just make this into a great big long strap and have a little purse that hangs. Really cute. So some of the girls were doing that. First thing you're going to do, you're going to take those little rectangles that you cut, those little itty bitty ones. You fold them in half and give them a press. Then you'll take, see I have a press, so I see where my middle is. Now I'm going to take this edge and fold it into that center. I'll do that first. Do one side and then I'll do the other for you. I think you've probably done this before. All right, so I folded one side to the center, gave it a press, folded the other side to the center, gave it a little press. Just like that. Then I'm going to fold it back. I'll probably give it another little press, and I'll top stitch close to both edges. All right, little tabby's done. I stitched down both edges close to the edge, probably about a 1/16 of an inch away. I just kind of eyeballed that. You can move your needle way over and use the side of your foot to go along. Whatever makes you comfortable, do that. So now I'm going to set these aside because now it's time for the fun part. I know, you're going to cringe. You're going to put the zipper in. You're like, no, I hate zippers. I can't do zippers. Yes, you can. This is a super, super easy zipper installation. So you have your zipper, and you're going to be sewing it to this edge and this edge of your bag. So these little short edges right here. So you can first of all see that, I'm going to cut this little thread off because it's bothering me. Okay, first of all, you can see that your zipper is much longer than the little at the top. That's fine. What you want to do is lay the right side of your zipper with right sides together on your bag and line up the edges of your zipper and your bag. So you can see I'm going to move this down. So you can see I've lined up the zipper edge with the raw edge of my bag. You are then going to sew relatively close to the zipper. Don't sew over the zipper, you're not going to do that. You can use a zipper foot. I kind of just used my regular foot and moved my needle over as far as it would go. And actually that's a little bit too far. So I'm going to move it over a little bit more. Move it over here to move it up. Okay, we're going to move it up and over a little bit. You want to give it a little bit of space because you don't want to be sewing right on your zipper teeth. And then you're going to sew right along there. You're sewing on the wrong, I like to sew on the wrong side of the zipper so that I can see that I am not sewing through my actual little zipper teeth. Just like that. I keep my zipper at this point is zipped all the way closed. Now you can see I can pull this back and you can see my little zipper teeth. So at this point, actually, you could do a couple things. Even before you put the zipper on, because you're going to see your seams on the inside of your bag, you could finish these seams off. I took mine and, I don't know if you can see it, but I took mine and I took it over to the serger and I serged my bag before I kind of sewed it all together. So before I added my zipper, I came along and I serged this edge and up along all four sides so that when my bag is all finished and closed, this little seam in here is finished off. I could try to get that through. I could try to get these other parts through the serger, but I don't think that's going to happen. So this is going to be just fine if it's not all finished off. It's just a cute little bag. So these are actually finished off by the serger. And then my seam under here was finished off by the serger. You can leave it raw edged. You can use an overcast stitch on your sewing machine. Yes, you probably have one of those. One of those things that you paid for and when you got all those decorative stitches and those great stitches on your machine that you never use. Well, here's a chance to use one of those stitches. So you can finish your inside of your bag off that way. Okay, I'm going to keep going. So at this point, when I sew the zipper on, I'm now going to press it so that the fabric is laying flat and the zipper teeth are showing. I'm just going to give that a little press so it's nice and flat, because the next thing I'm going to do is come along and put the side of my presser foot along the edge of my fabric and top stitch. So now I'm going to move my needle again, probably as far over as it goes. And I actually made my stitch length a little bit longer. I made it to go to 3, because you're sewing through something pretty thick. So sometimes some of your machines might kind of lag on a thick seam like that, and giving it a little bit longer seam stitch length will help that look just a little bit nicer. My machine loves thick stuff. So, all right, so I've got this side sewn on. That was easy, right? You never thought that sewing could be this easy. Now you're going to take the bottom of your bag and you're just simply going to line it up with the top of your bag. So you want these little sections that you cut out to box your corners, you want those to kind of line up. And you're going to, again, line up the top of your zipper with the raw edge of your bag. All right. Again, I'm going to put this through my machine. I'm going to flip back over, flip my needle back over. Add it on 2, I think. Okay. And put my stitch length back to the regular length. And I'm going to stitch this on just as I did before. This is so exciting. Look at how easy this is. I know, you didn't think you could do a zipper, but you can. It's this easy. All right, now I've sewn that on. The fun part is now that you can turn your bag right side out. Could open your zipper, that would make it easy too. Okay, so you can see now how beautiful that is. Look at, I know, isn't that fun? Okay, I'm going to kind of unzip this now so that I can press this part of my zipper back again. You know, you want to lay this flat and press your bag nice and flat towards the bag part and away from your zipper teeth. So give that a little press, and then again, come along and top stitch that. Getting everybody set up right here. There we go. All righty. So now we're going to stitch that. That was easy. Is that the easiest zipper you've ever put in? And I know you've been afraid of zippers. Now you're not. Okie dokie. Now at this point, you can kind of zip it back up again and see your beautiful handiwork. Ta-da! It's gorgeous. Now take your bag, and you know how we cut that 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 inch corner off of the top of your bag? You're going to do the same thing down here at the bottom. Let me show you how that works. So now I've drawn 1 1/4 inch on both of those corners, and I'm going to cut through both layers of my bag. Okay, so now I've got those little 1 1/4 inch squares taken out of the bottom. You know what? You're almost done with this bag. We are now going to turn this back and turn it inside out again. This is the easy way to turn it. There you go. You can, at this point, you can zip up your bag. You can zip it up all the way at this point. What you're going to do is sew up your sides, about 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 to 3/8 to 1/2 inch. Alrighty, now I've sewed up both of my sides of my bag. It's now time to finish it off, and we're going to box up those corners. I'm going to start at the bottom just because I can. I take my corner, and I know that this is kind of the middle because I kind of have a little tick mark there now from folding it straight in half. I'm going to line up that middle with my seam, and I kind of open up my seam when I sew this together just so that it's a little bit less bulk in my seam as I go along. And then you just kind of flatten it out. You could hold it together with binder clips if you'd like, just to make sure that this is kind of straight. You've got your little corners there. My seam is open, and I'm just going to sew that straight across. I make sure that I backstitch at the beginning and the end of this seam as I go along. And that is going to make that cute little bottom. Now I'm going to repeat on the other side. All right, the bottom of my bag is now boxed. Ta-da! All right, now you're ready to do up by the zipper. So we have a couple things we need to think about as we're doing the zipper. You're going to want to make sure you have your D-ring. You want to make sure that you have your little tabs. The first bag that I made, I was so excited because I was almost done with my bag, and I was just so excited to see it that I forgot to put these in. So then I had to rip open my little box corners by my zippers and tuck them back in. So you don't want to do that. So make sure that you remember to do these. Now I put here's where my zipper pull is. I put the D-ring on the other side of the zipper pull. So I'm going to slide that one in first. So you simply slide your zipper pull on, or your D-ring on, and then you're going to tuck it through this edge. So this part, the raw edges of the zipper pull, or the zipper tag, is going to line up with the raw edges of your bag on the inside. And then you're going to stitch through all of this. So you could pin this if you like. I saw a lot of people pinning it, and that's great if you want to do that. Binder clips work really well because this is kind of a thick section. So whatever works best for you. I leave this zipper nice and long until I'm all done. Then I'll trim it off. So I'm going to do this edge first. This is the edge without the zipper pull. Ready? I'm going to put that through. Make sure I backstitch at the beginning and the end. And kind of go slowly when I get to the zipper pull, the little zipper tabs that I put in there, and going over the actual zipper itself. I make sure that I go really slow, and sometimes you have to tuck your seam in because I like to try to make that open as I go along so that it's a little bit flatter when I go through. And then you want to kind of make sure that your little zipper tabs are lined up, all those little things. So you kind of have to stop when you get to the middle and kind of move things around a little bit. There we go. And then we're going to stitch slowly as we go over this big thick spot. And I just go slow. When I get down to the end, I stitch. You have a nylon zipper, so it's really simple to stitch through all of that. If it makes so, at this point, I kind of stop and I unzip my zipper. I kind of just take a look at that side and make sure I like the way it looks. I kind of pop this edge out before I cut my zipper. Oh, that looks so cute. There it is. There's my little zipper pull. There's my little D-ring. Really super cute. So I'm okay with that. So I'm going to continue. So you can trim off your zipper on this side at this point in time. All right, there she goes. Oops, can't get rid of my little zipper tab. On the other side, I'm going to put the other tab. Now this time, this is when you're going to want to make sure that your zipper is halfway open, about like that. You do not want to have your zipper all the way closed because you're going to be sewing across this seam, and that would leave your little zipper pull on the outside of your bag. Not going to work too well if you do that. And then it makes it really hard to turn it right side out. So make sure that you unzip your zipper about halfway down. Now I'm going to kind of place my little zipper tag in there, line it up with my side seam. And then what you want to do is take and simply line up your zipper so their zipper comes together in the center, so that it all meets and comes together in the center. So you might want to pin that. It's really kind of a dicey little section there. I'm going to put in a binder clip or two and kind of hold that in place as I go along, because that is a fussy little thing. So if you need to, you can at this point cut your zipper down a little bit farther so that you can get a binder clip in there. I don't go too far just in case it really makes me nervous to cut my zipper before I have everybody sewn together. So I kind of line up my zipper tag, that little white tag that's on the outside, and I kind of center that on my seam. Then I take my zipper and I line that up with my seam and kind of pull that fabric, fold it down, line it up with that seam. Then I just pop a little binder clip on here, just like that. Now you're going to kind of pull over the other side of the zipper, line that up so that they meet and are even on that edge, and put a little binder clip over there just to hold all of that in place as you go along. Now I'm going to stitch straight across like we did before on the other sides. Make sure I backstitch at the beginning and the end, and about 1/4 inch in or so. Ta-da! Okay, now I can trim off that extra zipper. Get that all nice and even. Trim off all my extra threads. You can kind of push your zipper or pull all the way to open. And guess what? It's time to see how your bag looks. It's adorable. I love these bags. They go together really quick. You can make one for all the girls for Christmas or birthdays or holidays and fill them with fun stuff. And they will love them because they are just as cute as can be. Little itty bitty, kind of poke your ends out. And here you go. Ta-da! Now the fun part is to add your little charm. And you will be ready to go. Like I said, we have more kits at the store. We have more of the fabrics, and we definitely have more of the charms and D-rings. So if you need to make more bags, you can get more charms and D-rings at the store. So I'm going to cut my threads, and it is just as cute as can be. I hope you had fun with this. And next month is our last month for our Sizzling Summer series. I'm thinking of doing a Happy Holiday series where we'll do maybe a fall, a Thanksgiving, and a Christmas project. So stay tuned for that. We'll be advertising that and showing you some of the projects for that. I already have a couple in mind. So I hope you join us for that because it's a lot of fun. There'll also be fun and fast, easy projects to do. We have one more project in our Sizzling Summer series, which will take place in a couple of weeks, and it is the Star Table Topper. So I hope you join us for that. Make sure you get your kits ahead of time and you can start cutting. So until next time, I'm Karen from Sew and Save, and we will see you soon.